While women have made tremendous strides in the workplace, a consistent gender gap still persists in pay, representation, and leadership roles. And while there are still structural changes to be addressed, there may be areas in which women can better navigate male-dominated fields to greater success. Here with Insight is executive career coach and author of Career Confinement. We have Elizabeth Pearson. Hello, Elizabeth.
Hi, Desiree. Happy International Women's Day.
I know. We're so happy to have you on and to be talking about this on such an important day. You have said that high-achieving women today are living in a gilded cage we helped build. Tell us what you mean by that and how it relates to the work you do.
I think that a lot of times, especially women that I interact with, they come to me and they feel a little stuck. They feel a little trapped, maybe confined by their past choices, life choices, right? And so I think that when we think of this gilded cage, it can feel really pretty on the outside, right? Like it's this new zone of comfortability that one day we kind of wake up and don't feel as comfortable in it. And what I do is I work with them to help identify, are these bars of the cage more mental constructs and bias and external conditioning that we've been subjected to our lives? And then from there, you can take action.
All right. So how does your new book, Career Confinement, help women who feel stuck in their job or industry that they work in?
Yeah, my book was, I really wrote it because I have so many incredible client stories of the women that I work with. They're in all different industries. They have, some are moms, some are not, some are empty nesters. It's really a pretty wide variety of women. And they all came to me feeling at their core stuck. And so the book was this wonderful way to provide a resource to women who also feel stuck to be able to identify with specific client stories in the book and then have the tools to get themselves with some momentum behind their back so that they can feel like they're actually making some progress towards their deep soul goals, if you will.
And in your experience, why do you think women are underpaid for the same roles as their male counterparts?
Bias is real. I mean, if you look at the statistics, there are a lot of gender bias out there and they're at play. And so I feel like in order for us to close this pay gap, we're actually going to have to close the leadership gap. This is really assuming competence with women instead of making them prove their competency in specific roles. It's giving them opportunities that maybe they weren't visible to in the beginning. Maybe people aren't sharing these opportunities with them. There's this thing right now going on too, this quiet hiring, quiet promoting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's exactly what it says. People are just being slotted into roles without them ever really being posted. And so a lot of times women miss out, and especially women of color and women in the LGBTQ community are missing out on these opportunities. So it just perpetuates the problem, which then results in the continued pay gap.
All right, well, we need your help. So what are some tips you have for women to succeed in male-dominated fields?
I think you got to befriend the males. I think you have to seek out male allies. And these are people that you can trust. Maybe you had a mentor from an organization that you aren't even currently working at right now. I think it's really good to just get their insight. We need some advocates. We need men to really kind of step up and start bringing women into the fold, have them in the meetings, let them flex a little bit and stretch into new areas of growth. Another one is like speaking up in meetings. Have your voice be heard. On average, women are interrupted more than 40% more than men in meetings. So if somebody interrupts you, pull a Kamala and say, "Excuse me, I'm speaking," right? It's okay to advocate for yourself and your voice to be heard so that you can be more visible. And another one is like call out gender bias. If you see it happening, if you see anybody using derogatory language around women or any minority group, you have to speak up. And it's always good to report it. And then also find a supportive group. So there's got to be some sort of like networking group or something in your area. If not, there's wonderful virtual options. But surround yourself with other women who have achieved and overcome some of these obstacles so that they can help show you the way.
Oh, that's very helpful. And can you also quickly talk about the vocabulary we use to talk about females in the workforce and why that matters?
It really does, Desiree, because a lot of times women are, described as nurturing, compassionate, really flexible, things like that. And men are described as confident and assertive, whereas women can come off as needy or emotional. So it's really good to like check the vocabulary that we're using around women, their abilities, because we could even be guilty of it ourselves
Mm.
as women, as talking about how kind somebody is and how they're really taking care of everybody in the office versus really highlighting their competency and their achievements.
All right, I'm going to remember that. I'm going to remember the vocabulary, and I'm going to check some people if I hear it. Elizabeth, thank you so much for joining us today. For more information, head over to elizabethpearson.com.